Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another weekly ramble. I am your host, Scuba Steve, and I'm going to jump right into it and just do a weekly roundup of topics that has came up in the news around the world, because there's been very little happening here on the platform. First things first is fantastic news over in the continent of Asia. The North and South Koreas are at peace. The Korean War has ended. And that is because of, you guessed it, Donald Trump. The man who has been touted to be racist, homophobic, misogynistic. A man who has been pointed at and called a warmonger has become the foundation of peace talks between North Korea and its southern counterpart, to the point where they have now shook hands, signed deals, and the Korean War has ended. And South Korea admits that these peace talks would never have happened if it was not for Trump. You can point and giggle and call me stupid all you want for supporting Trump. Like I said, he is touted to be racist, misogynistic, homophobic, a warmonger. But because of his expertise and knowledge in running a business, he is making things happen in the world via trade deals. And that is how America is going to come back from the brink of all-out implosion on itself. Trump making trade deals, adequate trade deals with other countries in exchange for things like peace. And that's absolutely fantastic. We also have Count Dankula has been in the news this week as well. Mainly because he has not been given jail time for his controversial video of Mate Your Duck's a Nazi, where he took his girlfriend's dog and taught it to salute as a Nazi would have in 1940s Germany, and had it sit and watch Hitler speeches in the context of a joke. He has been in a legal battle for 2 years, and there was one point where he could have been hit with a maximum prison sentence of 5 years for citing grossly offensive speech. For citing grossly offensive speech. This is really, it's a touchy subject because it touches on freedom of speech. We in the UK, a lot of people believe we don't have any laws or regulations about freedom of speech. We actually do, but it's very grey in comparison. It's a very grey and cloudy part of the law. It's not as transparent, not as black and white as the Americans have their freedom of speech rights. Essentially, we're allowed. It's very weird, but as I understand it, I think we have freedom of speech as long as we're not citing, any kind of violence with it, as long as we're not wanting to bring violence into it. So if a riot breaks out or a brawl happens because of somebody using freedom of speech to cite racism or if it's against the LGBTQ community, it'll be like homophobic hate speech. It could also be against religion, but who knows? That's how I understand how our free speech works here in the UK. We can have it, but as long as we're not wanting to invoke violence with it. Count Dankula has been involved with the courts now for the last 2 years. As I said, there was one point where he could have been hit with a maximum sentence of 5 years. But his sentencing came round earlier this week and he was slapped with a £800 fine, which is the equivalent of $1,100 US, give or take. Give or take a few dollars and some change. He then got in touch with his lawyer and said, listen, I want to appeal the court's decision because I want to help set a precedent for free speech here in the United Kingdom. What kind of funding am I looking to get here? And his lawyer said to him, you'll need approximately £100,000. Count Dankula then sets up a GoFundMe page in the early morning of one day. In that same day, by late afternoon, in the space of like 24 hours, he garners the £100,000 needed to go ahead with the legal proceedings to appeal the court's decision so he can get this £800 fine reversed. This is going to be a symbol for here. This is how free speech should be here in the United Kingdom. It shouldn't be inequality where a man who, for the context of a joke, the same context that a comedian works with for a living, decides to take his girlfriend's dog, which she cites as the cutest, most adorable thing on the planet, and he thinks to turn the entire situation upside down for the context of a joke and make it the most hated thing on the planet. A Nazi-loving dog that salutes Hitler and such. He did it for a joke. And the thing is, the courts are throwing that context out the window. Context matters. He said it himself when a Sky News reporter tried to trip him up after he came out of the court. The Sky reporter said to him, you committed a crime. Are you admitting that you committed a crime by saying gas the Jews 23 times in a video? And he's like, it's all in the context, mate. It's all in the context. And the guy said, yeah, but you committed a crime because you said it in a video. And Count Dankula says to him, well, you just broke the law. In your terms, you've just broke the law now because you've just said the phrase. And he then just proceeded to tell him, yeah, context matters. If you're not going to take into account my context, why should I concern myself with your context? Yeah, you take into consideration what people are putting on the table, and they'll take into consideration what your thoughts and opinions are on what you put down. Context does matter, and it does need to be taken into consideration. A precedent does need to be set here in the UK. It is just absolutely horrific. Other than those two big topics, I can't really think of much else. Hopefully more news comes by next week, not just from the world but on the YouTube platform. If anything does come up and I find it to be a big subject, then sure enough, I could make a midweek video talking about it and give my thoughts and opinions about it. But until then, if you like the content, leave a like. If you want to be constructive, leave a comment. Or if you want to just give me a smile, leave a good constructive comment, yeah. If you like the content to a good extent, hit the subscribe button. If you want to keep up to date with all my uploads. Hit the bell icon, make sure you hit all notifications. Hell, if you want to go the extra mile, follow me on social media. Facebook, Twitter is in the description below. But until next time, peace.